it's Julian Franklin. I wanted to talk to you today about one of my favorite shows to do. It's a Chris Van Allsburg tribute show. So this is, sometimes I call it the Winter Express, but really, you just ask for the Chris Van Allsburg show and you'll be on target. The Chris Van Allsburg tribute show is a tribute to Chris Van Allsburg. Chris Van Allsburg, I know you know, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to go ahead and fill you in. Chris Van Allsburg, of course, one of my favorite authors, brilliant writer, an unbelievably talented artist, more than just an illustrator, by the way. Of course, he's a fantastic illustrator for all of his books. He's most famous for the Polar Express, which has been made into a movie, obviously. But he's also, before he won the Caldecott for the Polar Express back in 1988, I believe it was. Before he won the Caldecott for the Polar Express, he also won a Caldecott for Jumanji. That was his first Caldecott winner. And of course, the very first book that he ever wrote for children was the Garden of Abdul Gasazi, which won the Caldecott Honor. Now, you gotta love a guy who throws his hat in the ring round one and wins the silver medal. I mean, you know he's talented. So, and that's probably one of my favorites, by the way, is the Garden of Abdul Gasazi. And that's the story that we start with in this production. But anyway, the point is that it's a tribute to Chris Van Allsburg. It talks about this great American author, great American illustrator, and he's also an amazing sculptor. People don't even know that about him. Google, right now, go do a Google search for Chris Van Allsburg sculpture. You will be impressed. This guy, the talent that he has in his pinky finger, if I had that much talent, oh man, he's amazing. Anyway, look, the point is, I love this guy, obviously, and so I pay tribute to him in this show that I do, where I talk about his books and what is it that he does that allows him to win these awards over and over and over again. Because if we could replicate that, if any of us could replicate that, we would be miles ahead. And so what I do is I try to teach the kids some of the tricks that he uses in his writing and how he does these things. So anyway, this is a great program for author craft and style. It's a great program before any state test because it sort of gets the kids ready to write in a way that is engaging. And by the way, this he does this, and this is one of my big hooks for the kids, is look, an interesting sentence doesn't have to be a long, boring sentence. Nobody likes to read long, boring sentences. We like to read interesting sentences. And sometimes interesting sentences are shorter than longer sentences. And in fact, that's what Chris Van Allsburg does. If you flip through some of his books, you'll see every single one of his books, 32 pages or less. And some of those pages are just huge picture, 2 sentences off here to the side and blank space underneath. And so how can he create these amazing ideas and convey them in such a way that he does it with only 2 or 3 sentences on a page, you know, 60, 50, 100, 200 sentences at the most. And he's got a whole amazing, complex, really deep story, which, by the way, that's another thing that we address, is that when you read Chris Van Allsburg book, you could read it to your kindergarten kids, you could read it to your 5th grade kids, and it's almost like reading 2 totally different books because of the themes that he carries through his stories. And where one reader might get this, some of the older kids are ready for these older themes, and man, it's just but anyway, we'll address all of that, plus some little secret hidden treasures that Chris Van Allsburg has put into every one of the books that he's illustrated, and we'll talk about how to do that little fun little search for some of the stuff that he's done. Anyway, one of my favorite programs to do, because it's by one of my favorite authors in the world, Chris Van Allsburg, author and illustrator, the Chris Van Allsburg Tribute Show. You'll love that one.